But more than anything, look at the words you are filling your mind up with that are shaping your reality. And if you don't like your reality, change your words. You are firing new neurons. The mind loves newness. It needs newness. Hi, this is Marisa, and today I'm going to teach you how to go through a formula that will make your goals real. This involves you writing stuff down, so be prepared to pause the video a lot, because I'm going to tell you the truth. When you have a goal in your head, it's not even a goal, it's a fantasy, it's a dream. When you have a book like this, you can call it your goal book, and you write out your goals and you go through it. I'm just about to take you through bit by bit, stage by stage. You go back to that book, you can look at it, you can touch it, you can just make it real. So remember, if you do not write out your goals as a plan and write out how to accomplish them, you don't have a goal. You have a wish, you have a dream, you have a daydream. If you want to go, get a pen, get a nice little book like this. You can do it on your phone too. You can make a document in your computer and be prepared to make your goals real. So let's start now. Get your book. Pause this if you need to go and find one, create one. And I want you to pick a goal, and do not even start with, I want to lose 5 pounds, I want more money. These are what I call wishy-washy goals. No. If you can make your goals real, you might as well make them huge, big, enormous, phenomenal. So if you say, well, I want more money, that's my goal. You go, oh, hang on a minute. Hey, I got $10 here. There you go. You go, well, that's not my goal. But you said, I want more money. And I learned this when I used to work with women who were infertile, that come in and go, you know, I just want to be pregnant. I want to be pregnant so bad. If I was just pregnant, I go, well, as I look at your notes, you've been pregnant 6 times. I know, I keep miscarrying. So being pregnant is not your goal, is it? What? Isn't your goal to carry to full term a healthy, robust, bouncing baby, to deliver a perfect baby, to be a great mum? Yeah, that's my goal. Well, why don't you say that? Because you can be pregnant lots of times and never have a baby, or you can say, my goal is to have a perfect baby. How about this? My goal is to get lots of attention. For what? A nervous twitch? Explosive gas? That will give you attention, but that's not what you want, is it? Nobody wants explosive gas. So let's start with a big goal. Pause if you need to. Take some time, open your book, and write out a big goal. Now, you can have a career goal on whatever. I'm going to have my own company, create my own business, invent something. You can have a relationship goal. My relationship is wonderful. We grow in loving and respecting each other. And you can have a health goal. But I want you to pick one, only one, not 3, not 5, not 10, one goal. It can be career, it can be health, it can be love. Pick one goal. And then I want you to decide why you want that goal so much. So the first thing is, I have a goal. I want to have my own business. That's my goal. And now you're going to go to a next page and write out, why do you want to have your own business so much? And the more reasons you can write out why, the more likely you will make that goal real. So write down why. Write down as many whys as you can. And remember, you can come back any time to this and think, oh, I've thought of another why and another why. So leave plenty of space. Take your time. And when you've done your whys, go to another page and write out who will benefit from you achieving that goal. Of course, you will, but who? Who will benefit? For instance, if you have your own business, you will employ people who will benefit. Maybe your kids will go to private school. Maybe your business will allow you to help your partner have their business. The more people who will benefit from you achieving your goal, the more reasons you have to achieve that goal. So write out who will benefit from you achieving a goal. Who, how, and why will they benefit? You're going to buy your mum a house, put your niece and nephew through private school. Did you think of your mind as like the genie in the bottle that says, your wish is my command? And I want you to understand that every thought you think and every word you say is a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche must make real. So when you write out your goals, don't say, I wish I could be rich. I long to be in a loving relationship. Write it as if it's already happening. I am a millionaire. I am in a loving relationship. You might go, well, that doesn't make sense. It does make sense because your mind only works in the present tense. When you say next year I'll have a bikini body, it doesn't know what next year is. And so you must write your goals in the present tense. I am, I always, I have, I do. You must use words that make a picture. I want more money. Well, you can find 10 cents or $1. But you have to say, not I want more money, I am making a phenomenal amount of money. I am making $1 million because I monetize the gift I have, or I make $10 million a year because I monetize the skill. Then you have to make it detailed. You have to give your mind an image to go towards. What you want wants you. What you are moving towards is moving towards you, but you must have an image. So you could say, I'm going to write a best-selling book. You could go, I am writing a best-selling book and it is all about X and it's full of Y. And the reason people love it is because, and the reason people buy it is, and when it gets reviewed, they say this. And you see, you're making your goal real. You're making it tangible. You're giving your mind a very clear picture to go towards. So let's go further. So let's turn to another brand new page. And remember, we're always starting on this page. So that page is free, and that page is free for more. This new page is about your discipline. How many hours a day are you going to spend working on your goal? How often are you going to come back to this book and look at it? I want you to write out, I am, I always, I have, I do, and I want you to fill that in. You see, the best goal in the world will not work if you don't work. And many people fail at this point. They write out a goal. My goal is to be a millionaire. My goal is to be famous. My goal is to be wildly in love. And they think that's it. It's not it. If you want to be madly in love, write out all the reasons why, but then you have got to put yourself in front of the kind of person you want to share your life with. If you want to start your own business and you have a reason why, you also need to have the discipline to meet people who will fund you, sponsor you, joint venture with you. So I want you to really understand that the best goal will not work if you don't work. You can have the start point, but you have to keep going. Many of the most successful people ever say, well, you know, I had a goal. Luther Vandross had a goal to be a rock star. And people said, well, you're an overnight success. He went, I don't think so. You know, I sang jingles for KFC for 12 years. That's a long night, 12 years. And people said, but Luther, you're singing on television. That's cool. You get paid a lot of money for KFC. He said, yeah, but it's not my goal. And he stuck it out. And many people have got so close to success and had to keep going. And you have to keep going. So look at your discipline and decide you will give more to your goal. Give even more. Work on it, look at it, write it out, think about it, talk about it. You must be prepared to give so much to your goal. In fact, you must be prepared to be unstoppable in the pursuit of your goal. When I wrote my first book, I took it to several publishers and some rejected it. And I still remember that feeling. Authors never forget it, the thud. Sent my manuscript off. I could hear the thud, it came back. They never send back the manuscript unless they don't want it, and that was okay. But then I heard the thud again, and then I heard the thud again. And when you hear the thud for the 5th and 6th times, it's like, oh no, they're sending back my book. J.K. Rowling, do you know how many times Harry Potter got rejected? Her goal was to write a best-selling book. She heard the thud over and over again. Every time she heard the thud, she picked that book up. She put it back in an envelope and she sent it back. And she said, you know, I had a little plastic covering and I had no money. And I bought this special little cover and I put the manuscript in it and I made it look so nice. And they sent it back without it. I had to go and buy that cover again. But she was tenacious. She kept going. She got rejected. She came back. You must come back from rejection. You must see a denial and a no as a delay. You must have what I call a bounce back factor, like a big rubber ball, you bounce back. Writers have had their work rejected. Desperate Housewives, they were told that would never make it. The Sopranos, people said that will never make it. It's too violent, it's not funny. It happened to become one of the most successful TV series of all time. And if you knew, even Gone with the Wind, they were said that will never make it. So many things we buy, like Trunky, the little children's suitcase, Tangled teasers. We're told this won't make it, you won't make it. Many people you see out there who've made it have been told no many, many, many times, but they come back and they come back. You must not allow rejection to stop you. You must understand the only person who can ever reject you is you. And if you don't reject you, no one can. My husband owned a chain of comedy stores, and one day a comedian went up and he told the joke. It was funny. It all went downhill. And when he came off, my husband was waiting and he said, did you see how much they loved the first joke? And I loved that because he didn't focus on the fact they didn't like any of the others. He held on to they liked the first one, and he knew he could take that and have lots more first ones. And you can do that too. So let's go to another page. This is really, really important. I want you to work on your self-belief and confidence. Write out what kind of confidence you will need to have to achieve that goal. What beliefs do you need to believe to achieve that goal? You know, someone said to Michael Jordan, you're so lucky. He said, I know, the more I train, the luckier I become, because you make your own luck. Write out your beliefs. Write out the confidence you will give to yourself, because you can fill yourself up with confidence. You were born with it. You haven't lost it. You've just buried it under limiting beliefs. You can remove those. Let's go to another page, and this is really important. You are worth it. You might go, look, that's just the same as the other page. Not quite. And even if it was, I want you to exhaust yourself with writing. You may just say, I've only written 3 lines. It's fine. But tomorrow, you might think of another one and come back. Why are you worth it? Why do you deserve this goal? What makes you worth it? Why do you know you're worth it? How do you know you are worth it? And if you don't know, how are you going to know that you are worth it? You must believe you're worth it. You must know you're worth it. When you know it, the world will join you in knowing it too. Remember, pause the video. Please don't try and keep up with me. This is serious. I want you to pause, write, unpause, write more. I want you to do this. Most people listen to these tutorials, but this is not something to listen to. It's something to participate in. Do it with me. I'm doing this for you. I want you to have phenomenal success. And while you're writing, I'm going to tell you something you probably already know. There were many studies in the 50s where they took a group of graduates and said, how many of you have goals? And how many of you write them down amazingly? I think, this is not word for word, so please don't quote me, but I pretty much know this. I believe 3% of that graduating year had goals and wrote them out. A higher percentage had goals and didn't write them out, and another group had no goals at all. They went back 20 years later, 30 years later. The wealth of the 3% who had goals and wrote them out was worth more than the other 97% combined. Not only did they have monetary goals that they'd reached, they had better relationships, better health, and all of this was attributed right back to one thing. They had goals, they wrote them out, and they wrote out how to achieve them, why to achieve them, what it would feel like when they achieved them, who would benefit when they achieved them. They didn't probably do all of that, but that's what I make my clients do. And if you do it, you know that you can have that success because that test has been done more than once. It was done again in the 1980s. It was done again in the 1990s. And we're doing it today. Write out your goals, write out your why, write out your reasons, write out what you are going to learn. The new things you're going to learn. If you're going to be a writer, you're going to be a speaker. If you're going to have your own business, you better learn accountancy, and so on and so on. If you're going to sell, you need to learn how to speak. If you want to be a great anything, you need to learn marketing. I train people into being phenomenal therapists. I tell them the truth. Look, it doesn't matter how amazing you are if nobody knows where you are. In most of our businesses, we must learn marketing, search engine optimization. I didn't know any of those things. I do now. I wrote a book called Trying to Get Pregnant and Succeeding. I never liked that title, but it is the most searched for title on the web, Trying to Get Pregnant. So I called my book a title I didn't even agree with because I don't use the word trying. I use the word doing. But I understood that what people search for. I don't like the word losing weight. I don't like the word losing, but people search for that word. So you're going to have to learn marketing, technology, IT, social media. And that's good because the more things you learn, the better you'll be. Mick Jagger studied accountancy after he was a multi-millionaire because he wanted to know where his money was going. And he's very smart. You can do that too. So let's finish with our last few pages. You're worth it. What are you learning? And now I want you to write out on this new page that you are going to act it, talk it, think it, speak it. What will you do differently? I want you to act as if your goal has already happened. I am a best-selling author. I have my own successful business. I am a fabulous entrepreneur. I am an inventor. You need to say it in the same way all the women I met who couldn't conceive, I made them go, I'm expecting a baby that I'm not. Look, you're expecting a tax bill, aren't you? You're expecting a phone call. It's not there, but it's coming. You can expect a baby. You are in a state of expectancy. So I want you to think, how would you talk? How would you dress? How would you speak? What would you do? How would you spend your free time when you have achieved those goals? Write all of that out. It's a lot of writing, I know, but remember, until you write it, it's not even real. So write all these things. You're going to have faith, courage, and I want you to write out some of the risks you are going to take. And here's the truth. The only risk in life is not to take the risk. I rang up a publisher and said, would you like to look at my book? They said no. I sent it to them anyway. Someone had told me that in publishing, if you write on the envelope, this is not an unsolicited manuscript, they accept it. So I sent it in and they accepted it. But I also heard the thud when it came back. But I had to take the risk. I had to ring a publisher and say, would you publish my book? I had to ring an agent and say, would you be my agent? Many people said no, no, no. Successful will hear rejection and they keep going. So what risk are you going to take? You're going to stand up and talk about it. It's like people who go on Shark Tank and Dragon's Den and they get laughed off, and some of them become so successful anyway. The only risk in life is not to take the risk. If you take a risk and it doesn't work, you learned something. We all know that Colonel Parker, I don't know how many Kentucky Fried Chicken recipes he submitted until he submitted the right one. And it's not important. It's only important that you keep going. How many fails Edison had before he created a light bulb, but he kept going. So, plan it, want it, write it, work on it. know you're worth it, and see it as if it was already happening. So don't say one day I will, in the future, next year, in 5 years. Now. I am becoming X now. This is happening in my life now, right now. And when you've finished, well done, but this is not finished. I want you to go back every day, read what you've written, maybe add a little bit more. And as you read it, more ideas will come up, more ideas will come up. Here's something that happens. When you do something to make your goal real, something happens, something shifts. So my story very quickly is that I always wanted to write, but I wasn't sure I could. And then I wrote an article for my daughter's school paper. That was really easy. Everybody loved it. I decided to write a book. I went to an event, sat next to a girl, we were talking, and she told me she was a publisher for Penguin. And she gave me her card, but then she happened to say that she was moving to Hong Kong in 6 weeks. So I took her card, put it in my bag. And 6 weeks, when I knew she'd left, I called her number and asked them. They said, she's left. I went, oh, she asked me to send my book draft. And they went, really? I said, oh, yes, I've got her card here. And she asked me to send my book. They went, okay, well, look, send it, but you must write on it. This is not an unsolicited manuscript, because if you don't, we won't open it. So I sent it to them. I sent it to lots of other publishers too. I took that risk. You see, someone put me in front of that woman. The universe conspired. As I took the courage to write my book, the universe put me next to a publisher. And then I went to a dinner party. I met an agent, and one of my clients said, well, you know, the best agent in town, he's your client. I'm like, really? They went, yeah. And I went, oh, and I called him. He came to me, and he was my client. I treated him for depression long ago, and he became my agent. I didn't need an agent. I've got a book deal already, because Penguin took my book. He said, I will get you 5 times what they're offering you. And he did. All these things happened. All these unforeseen events came out because of my commitment to do something. The minute you commit to something, to your goal book, write it, read it, touch it, the minute you commit to it, the universe works with you. All kinds of unforeseen, amazing things will be put in your way, right in front of you, because you committed. Everything will fall into place. Things will happen. Coincidence means 2 angles that fit together perfectly. All because you took action. Your book is your action. Write in it, read it, look at it. Fortune favors the brave. If you woke up with that thought, it's hopeless, nothing ever works out, everything I touch turns to you know what, all my relationships go wrong, I never get promoted, in fact, I can't keep a job. How do you think you would feel if you thought that thought? Well, you'd feel terrible. You'd either feel angry or hopeless, more hopeless, or sad or depressed. You might have inertia. So you think a thought, and when you think a thought, you feel a feeling. People say, no, feelings come before thoughts. They actually don't. Apart from the feeling of falling backwards, in every other area, thought comes before the feeling. So you think a thought, then you feel a feeling. Now, the feeling you feel will dictate the way you behave. If I feel hopeless, I'm not going to see some hot guy and go, hey, you look cute. Do you want to have a coffee? I'm not going to go to someone and say, hey, would you employ me? I'm not going to go to people at work and say, do you want to come to my house? I'm having a barbecue. I can't take a risk because I've thought a thought. I'm hopeless. Nothing works out. I felt a feeling sad, depressed, angry, pointless, hopeless. And that feeling will dictate how I act, my actions, which are often no actions. I now have inertia. I'm scared of risk. It dictates how I behave. I don't do anything to get promoted. I've even stopped going on dating sites because I know I'm going to get ghosted. And now why am I sitting at home doing nothing? Well, because I've gone back to the thought, it's all hopeless. What's the point? So that's a negative loop. But imagine if you made it a positive loop. Hey, I have an ability to make things work out. I'm talented, I'm gifted, I'm nice, I'm warm, I'm a good person, I'm smart, and I've got this magic technique that makes things work in my favor. Now I've got a thought. How do you think you feel when you have that thought? Will you feel excited, positive, confident, ready to take a risk? And because you think a better thought, you have to feel a better feeling. And now what kind of actions do you think you take when you think a better thought, feel a better feeling? You go, hey, you look cute. Who are you? There's something about, I'd love to talk to you. Hey, I've been doing this job for 4 years. I've done some research. It's really time for promotion or a pay rise. You take risk, because the only risk in life is not to take any risk at all. Every risk you take will teach you something. So better thoughts, better feelings, better actions, better behaviors. And people say, how do you do that? I go, well, I believe in myself. People say to me, how do you go on stage and speak to thousands of people? I go, well, I love it. The first time I went on stage, I was so nervous. My knees were knocking. I held onto that podium for dear life. Now I don't even have a podium. But my first thought was, what if I'm no good as a speaker? Which made me feel nervous, which made me cautious. I didn't want to walk away from my podium in case my hands were shaking. And when I changed that, I thought, I love speaking. It's an amazing thing to do. I felt excited, and that dictated my behavior and my action. So everything peels back to how you think. Everything goes back to your thoughts, and that's very good news. You know why? Because your thoughts are yours to change. So are your beliefs. So are your feelings. So are your behaviors. I'm going to show you today how to do that all the time. And so amazing. And when you do it enough, it stops being what you do and it becomes who you are. And then you will win at almost everything, because it's who you are, not what you do. Over 33 years, I see clients. I'm going to give you an example. I worked with a lady called Diana, such a lovely lady. She's on one of my courses, and she was going through extreme grief. Her husband and both her sons died of lung cancer. They were all very heavy smokers, and she blamed herself. And she had no hope that she could have any life because she'd lost her husband and 2 children. And she was maybe in her late 60s. When I worked with her, she began to see that it wasn't her fault. She couldn't have kept her husband and sons alive. She tried, but they made decisions. And so she began to see that she could use something from that. She actually trained with me, became a therapist. And one of the things she specializes in is stopping people smoking, because it's so important to her. And she uses the story of her husband and her 2 sons to help people realize that if you are a chain smoker, a heavy smoker, you're not really going to go to a good place. You have to stop. And it isn't just what you're doing to you, it's what you're doing to your family, your partner, your children. So you might say, well, what does that all mean? Well, she couldn't change that tragedy of losing her husband and both her children, but she managed to change what it meant to her. And I've seen many people who said, that happened to me. I lost something important and I learned to fight back. I was assaulted. It was terrible, but I went into the business of helping people. One of the girls on our training course said her teacher said to her, wow, the brains ran out when they got to you, didn't they? And she thought, I'm going to be a teacher because I'm never going to let any child going through my education system hear that again. And, for me, I had a situation. People think I've had a charmed life. Well, I almost have, but I had a situation, gosh, I don't even know how many, it must have been at least 16 years ago, where I lost a baby. And then the person I was with left me because he couldn't deal with the fact that we'd lost this baby. And then I got fired from a television job I had that I loved. It was a lot of loss, a baby, a partner, and a career that I loved. One part of my career, but it was being on this television show that I loved. And I could have said, wow, this is terrible. I've never, ever had depression in my life. But that event where I lost 3 things, like a domino thing, I thought, gosh, I know what depression is like, and I've never had that before. And now I feel really more equipped to deal with clients who have depression, because I know they're going to wake up in the morning and the first thing you think is, oh my God, I've got to think again about the baby, the boy, the job. But I decided to help other people that felt like that. And that's when I wrote one of my books, Trying to Get Pregnant and Succeeding, because I felt so... When you're depressed, you go so in yourself, and the last thing you want to do is go shopping or go out. So I thought, well, I'm at home, I'm feeling a bit lost, let me write this book. And now I look back and I don't regret any of that. It's hard to say I don't regret losing that baby, but actually I'm married to my wonderful husband. I can now see that that just wasn't meant to be. If that had all worked out, my life had gone in a different direction. I'm glad it didn't go in that direction. So the hope I had that while I'm feeling this low, I could write a book to help other people wasn't false hope, because I look back now, people write to me from all over the world and go, hey, I had a baby thanks to that book. I had been having 8 rounds of IVF. I happened to be in New York, and this girl rang me and said, hey, I heard you're in New York. Please, please, please do a session. I've just read your book. Trying to have a baby for 12 years. She came along, I did one session. She was pregnant a month later. She's now got 2 children. And so I feel that I had to go through that pain to get to a level of understanding to help others. But that hope wasn't false hope. I knew when I wrote that book that it was taking me in a better direction. And we can all do that no matter how bad it is. We'll say, yeah, I was in this awful situation. But later I thought, well, I can't change it, but can I use it? Can I do something about it? And many people use that to totally change their career. And that's a wonderful thing. So your words shape your reality. If you don't like your reality, it's really time to change it. Don't like your reality. Your words create it, change them. The way you feel about everything is down to the pictures you make, but even more the words you speak. And you can start to change the words you speak. I'll give you an example. My little girl came home one day and said, Mummy, how does Claire get on the ceiling? I'm like, what do you mean? Because I don't understand how Claire is on the ceiling. And Claire was her friend's mum. And she said, because she's always saying she's going to go up the wall. Now I met Claire. Claire was super stressed. I said, Claire, when you keep using this, if you get peanut butter on the fridge, I'll go up the wall. If you get crayon on the carpet, I'll go up the wall. You're actually future pacing. What you're saying is, if you do the things that normal kids do, I will lose my mind and go up the wall. And when I had a little girl, nobody loved having a baby more than me, because I was could never, ever, ever have children. Ever. It wasn't possible. I couldn't get pregnant. And if I did, I would never carry one. But I did. And I noticed a lot of my friends, they say things like, oh, my baby's killing me. Oh, I'm going insane with tiredness. Oh, this is so stressful. I noticed myself occasionally saying, oh, this is stressful. And I thought, no, it's not. This is my dream come true. I had given anything to have a baby. So I started to say, my baby is acting age appropriate. I never said, oh, they're a nightmare and they're so difficult. They drive you crazy. You lose your mind. I said, no, they're age appropriate. My daughter was running on the beach once with my friend and her daughter, who appeared to be the most perfect kid in the world. And she kept saying to me, why is your kid so bad? I'm like, she's not bad. She's age appropriate. I shout at her to stop. She's like a little puppy. She doesn't stop once. She doesn't stop twice, but she does stop on the 3rd time. She is acting age appropriate. She's not bad. I never say bad. And my friend who had a perfect kid, turned out later her kid was so introverted. She said, oh, I wish she was like yours and had a bit of character and could fight back. But my daughter's introverted and she's very passive and almost too obedient. And I dread the day she starts to date. I'm like, yeah, well, my daughter, I don't dread it because she's got an opinion and she fights back and she's not super compliant. And believe me, you don't want a super compliant child, especially a girl, because you don't want to go out with some idiot when they're 14 and be super compliant. And he says, hey, take drugs, let's go shoplifting, let's have sex. So you have to always change something around. You've got a difficult, argumentative kid. That's how they learn to have an opinion and protect themselves. And so everything is down to the pictures you make in your head. Imagine this. Imagine you go to a fun fair and you look at one of those things swirling around, like maybe the Big Dipper, and people are screaming, literally screaming. You would never be able to go, well, they're screaming because they're terrified or they're screaming because they're excited. It's actually both. And if you don't know, believe me, your mind doesn't even go, I'm terrified, my stomach's dropped. Because I'm excited, because the feeling is the same. My fingers are tingling, adrenaline's going through me. I've worked with many, many, many rock stars. I've been working with the Eagles once, and I asked them what it was like to go on stage. I asked that question to Eric Clapton. They both said the same thing, where your fingers tingle, you feel the adrenaline, you go on stage. It's the best feeling in the world. But actually describing a panic attack is the same. My fingers tingle, my heart rate goes up, adrenaline pumps me. I'm having a panic attack. I'm feeling amazing. Even the feeling when you have an orgasm, that buildup of tension, And the feeling that you can't control it is actually an amazing feeling. So it's not the feeling, it's how you feel about the feeling. And when you change the words and go, I love this, this is excitement, this is amazing, or something simple. Hey, I'm in a long marriage. We conflict about things, but that's good because it's exciting. We have opinions, we're staying together. Whatever's in, my boss challenges me. Well, that's good that he challenges you. A lot of people I know who sellers say, I love the difficult clients. The difficult ones are the ones that really grow me. When I have a difficult customer and I'm going to sell them my product, I'm so grateful, because if I can sell to the difficult ones, I can always sell to the easy ones, and the difficult ones each time teach me. I have had clients come and go, I don't like your perfume. I don't like that candle you're burning. I don't like that. And they've taught me a lot. Oh, okay, I shouldn't have those because some people don't like it. I don't like that music on your audio. I just want no music. So difficult people teach us how to be even better than we already are. So tell yourself that they're my teachers, and then you won't feel, oh, I can't get this right. But more than anything, look at the words you are filling your mind up with. It is shaping your reality. And if you don't like your reality, change your words. Well, neurobics means doing something new. I tell everyone the mind is brutal. It has a use it or lose it. And when you use your mind constantly, you fire new neurons all the time, which is why professors of 85 have almost the same brain capacity of someone of 35. But we have this excuse, oh, I'm too old now. It's normal to forget things. It's my age, when actually little tiny kids forget things. Go to a school and you'll see every day on the peg someone's forgotten their coat, their lunch, their swimming stuff. But we start to think, well, yeah, I'm tired, I'm forgetful, it's my age. It's not your age, it's because you are not using neurobics. If you look at a child, they color, they get up, they're going to do something else, they come back, they're always doing something new. And new means use it or lose it. You have to train your brain to stay young and active and sharp. And there are many people of 95 with super sharp minds, and other people of 60 who are letting their mind kind of wither away. And if you put all your work into having a great fit, young looking body, but you're forgetful, there's no point in that. If I could choose how to age, I would choose to mentally age really, really well, because then I could say, well, I'm 95 and I'm alert and I'm wide awake. What's the point of having a great body when I can't remember anything or focus or concentrate? But you can have it all. You can have a fit body and a fit mind if you use neurobics. And here's the great thing about neurobics. You don't have to go to the gym. No membership is required. No hour of doing press-ups and lifting heavy weights and doing lunges is required. And it doesn't hurt. You don't go, oh, my stomach aches now, and it's really hard work doing all these chest raises. It takes 5 minutes, it's free, it's easy. So let me show you what neurobics is. It means new, but it also means the wrong hand. Most people are right-handed. If you're left-handed, you're going to have to reverse this. If you're right-handed like me, what you need to do is clean your teeth with the other hand. It feels kind of weird, but that doesn't matter. And even better, when you clean your teeth with the other hand, balance on one leg for a minute, for 30 seconds, but do something with the other hand. When you reach for your phone, use the other hand. Notice how much you use this predominant hand. For most of us, it's our right hand. We use our right hand to reach for things, to comb our hair, to pick up our phone. Train yourself to use the other hand every day. Reach for something with the other hand, and know that every time you do that, you are making yourself younger. And here's something amazing. Wherever you start from in your house, you will always, if you're right-handed, start up the stairs using your right leg. Wherever you start from, it's quite fun to try. You will always go up the stairs first on this right leg. Make yourself lead from the left. Get to the stairs and put your left foot on the stair first, because you are firing new neurons. The mind loves newness. It needs newness. So do some new things. Clean your teeth with the wrong hand and balance on one leg just for a minute when you clean your teeth. Reach for your phone, your paper, your cup, your spoon with the wrong hand. Use the wrong hand. Start going up the stairs using the wrong leg, the unfamiliar leg. And finally, and this is really easy, if you do a crossword puzzle every day, because these things are really good for your brain, crossword puzzles, Sudoku, mind games, anything new. If you're learning something new, like a new language, doing anything that's different is great for your mind. Playing card games. My husband and I just bought this Monopoly card game. We found it last year in Bali. Our friends are playing it, and ever since we play it a lot. It's so good for you. But if you are doing a crossword or a Sudoku, do it on your iPad, do it on your phone, do it on your laptop, because it feels different. It's like, oh, I got to use this differently, I got to fill it all in differently. It's very good for your mind. Please remember, use it or lose it. If you don't want to lose it, and who wants to lose their faculties, use it. People say to me, wow, Marisa, you have the most amazing memory. I can talk to a client I saw 25 years ago and remember everything about them. And that's because I practice Neurobics every day. I love it. It's easy. And my dad died at 89, and he was so sharp as a tack. I plan to be like that when I'm 102, and you can be too. I call sleep nature's restorer because it does the most amazing, incredible things for us every night, and yet 1 in 4 people say that they struggle to go to sleep. 1 in 4 say they struggle to stay asleep. They wake up all the time. And 1 in 3 say that, well, no, I do sleep, but I wake up feeling tired. I don't wake up feeling refreshed and wide awake and raring to go. When you're asleep, your mind will problem solve. Imagine getting to bed and saying, hey, where did I put my keys? I had an instance last year when I couldn't find my phone. It was the strangest thing. I knew I'd had it. It was switched off. I couldn't find it. I went to bed and I woke up. And as I woke up, I had a vision. I remembered I'd stuck it on the tripod to film something for YouTube. And of course I'd looked around the house, but I hadn't looked there. But my mind, the minute I woke up, told me where my phone was. I can go to bed and say to my mind, hey mind, tell me where that is. Remind me to do that. Fix that problem. Answer that question. Geniuses do this all the time. They go to bed and they say, oh, I have a situation here. Should I do this or that? I will find the answer while I'm sleeping. They may say to the mind, hey mind, while I'm asleep, I want you to tell me, what is the answer? What should I do? Which decision should I make? And then you are programming your mind to start dreaming, and you will dream the answer. I dreamt my entire NICE meditation while I was sleeping. I was in Thailand. I woke up. And I dreamt about creating this NICE meditation, the impress, the call in and code in, the erase, the eradicate. I was calling it ICE. Then the next night I realized I could make it nicer. And many people say, you know, I dreamt this. Apparently the man who invented sewing machines dreamt about that mechanism, the arm and the needle, in his sleep. Because of course a needle, the fat end has the thread. And when he was trying to make a mechanical sewing machine, he just couldn't work out how that would work until he dreamt about the thread going through the tiny point. Einstein used to sit in a chair with a big, heavy ball bearing in his hand, sit in a rocking chair and rock backwards and forwards, go to sleep, and as he slept, his hand would drop, the ball bearing would hit the ground, he would wake up, and he had all these genius ideas. In fact, many geniuses will say, you know, I go and lie under a tree, I look at the sky, I fall asleep, and I wake up with amazing ideas. So you need to be able to harness that too, to make sleep your very best friend, to be like Einstein, to problem solve in your sleep, and even more amazing, to come up with incredible ideas, genius ideas, to create, to use your imagination while you are sleeping. So people have often got sleep all wrong. They go, I need to go to sleep. Well, that's very confusing. Do you mind when you get into bed and you pull the cover and you turn off the light, you're not going anywhere. Nobody's going anywhere. So the very fact is, I've got to go to sleep. I've got to go to sleep. When you've got into bed with the intention of going nowhere, confuses the mind. And talking about falling, that's even more confusing. We are born with very few fears, but one of them is falling, especially falling backwards. That's an innate fear that we are born with. So when you get into bed and you talk about falling, I need to fall asleep. I need to fall asleep now. I hope I can fall asleep in the next 10 minutes. I've got a busy day and I must fall asleep. I can't seem to fall asleep. Why can't I fall asleep like other people do? The mind doesn't even like the word falling. A couple of years ago, I was with my husband in San Diego, and his friend said, hey, I'm just about to go to the airport. I dread that night flight to London. I can never fall asleep on a plane. I went, well, you don't really want to use the word falling on a plane. Definitely know where to go when you're strapped into your seat, but why don't you do this? Strap in your seat, make yourself comfortable, and then use these magic words. Sleep is coming to me. Sleep is descending upon me and staying with me for 8 hours. And he called me and went, wow, I was in economy and I slept all the way to London, the best flight I've ever taken. I said what you said, sleep is coming to me. Sleep is descending upon me. It's dropping onto me like a mist. And it was amazing. And I do that all the time. I go to bed and I say, sleep is coming to me now. If I have a busy day, if I've just arrived in another country, in a different life, I say to my mind, hey mind, send sleep to me now. I require, I insist on 8 hours sleep. Send sleep to me. Wake me up after 8 hours, or it might be 6 hours, depends what my schedule is. I like 8 hours. But I don't ask my mind. I don't beg my mind, I command it, I tell it, mind, it's the right time to sleep. I require 8 hours, send sleep to me. Now I can sleep in light. I don't ever shut the curtains in my bedroom, and I sleep anywhere. But if you have a problem with that, actually studies show that we sleep much better when it's dark. So occasionally I put on a little sleep mask. So if you want to sleep better, here's what you can do. The first thing is, don't talk about falling asleep or going to sleep. Say, sleep comes to me. Say to your mind, hey mind, I'm in bed now. I need to sleep for 8 hours. I require that. I insist on it. Bring that to me. Send it to me. Give it to me now. Make sure your room is comfortable. The worst thing you can do is drink a big mug of coffee or tea or lots of water. You don't want to be getting up to empty your bladder. So stop that about 3 hours before you sleep. Wear sleep shades or keep the room really dark if you prefer to, because it does give you a better quality of sleep, sleeping in the dark. Make sure your room isn't too hot or indeed too cold, but too hot is actually worse. And make sure your sheets are nice and comfortable. And that's all you have to do. You don't have to have a completely silent, soundproof room. You'll notice people asleep on planes, asleep on trains, asleep in cars. And it's noisy and it's light. But if you decide to let sleep come to you, to use those words, I'm in my bed, I'm so relaxed, and sleep is descending upon me like a mist, and it's carrying me right through until my required wake-up time in the morning, because that might change. You can say 6 a.m., 8 a.m. It's up to you. Make a decision that as a baby, you could sleep in light. You would drift to sleep in someone's arms. My baby, I found her once in her sandpit, sitting up deeply asleep. I found her once sitting on the bottom step, deeply asleep. Babies can sleep anywhere, whether it's noisy or quiet, hot or cold, light or dark, and so can you. It's a decision. I've decided to reactivate, remanifest, regenerate, and recreate the habits of sleep that I was born with. You were born with perfect habits of sleep. There was no effort required, and you can reactivate them, regenerate them, and remanifest them right now. So remember, sleep is nature's restorer. You have within you the power to enjoy beautiful sleep. One of those people who can sleep on a train, on a plane, in a new country, on a different time zone. You can sleep in light, in dark, with people, alone. Don't allow to say, well, I can't sleep where there's a clock in them. I can't sleep when someone snores. I can't sleep in a new place. You can sleep anywhere when you give yourself the right words. And remember, it's a choice. Check out my next video here. The best plan in the world may not work if you don't work too. So many of my clients get into destructive behavior, drugs, drinking, procrastination, self-loathing, because we can't appreciate stuff that we're just given. We like it much more when we earn it.